Welcome back. This is part 5 of making a classic GRADIUS inspired shoot 'em up in Unity. Last time we covered bullet collisions with enemy ships and we're able to blow them up now. So things are actually coming together, things are working. However, the game isn't super difficult because our ship is essentially invincible. I mean, we can fly around here, enemies go right through us, nothing happens, that's it. So let's add some difficulty here by making it so that our ship can also get destroyed. And we're going to do that by letting enemies actually shoot back at us. So I mentioned previously that I was saving this enemy ship sprite for later. I'm going to use it right now, basically by making a second enemy type. So I'm going to take this enemy type 1, duplicate that, and let's call this enemy type 2. Right, and then I'll open this up, take this sprite, change it out. All right, let's change the bounding box a little bit. That a little bigger, recenter. There, good enough. All right, and then if I want this enemy type to shoot, similar to the player ship itself, I can just add a gun to it. So empty game object, the gun script on it, and then we're gonna have to turn it around so that this x-axis is facing the opposite direction because that's how we designed it to tell its bullets in which direction they should be shooting. So just rotate 180 around the z-axis there, and now it's going to be shooting to the left. And then we can also move it just a little bit, let's say on the x, right about there. Okay, and then we'll also create a second bullet type. Right, this one's green. We want a different bullet to distinguish our enemy bullets from our player bullets, and simple enough, we could go to, the bullet type 2. It's not really a good name, but okay, it's good for now, I guess. Go to the sprite, and we'll make this something evil orange. Sure. Or red. Reddish orange. Good. Okay. All right, so taking that, go back to the enemy, and then we'll go back to the gun, and we'll assign that bullet onto the gun, that new bullet. Where are my bullets? Bullet type 2. Okay. So by itself, this gun really does nothing because our player ship is able to shoot because in the ship script, it's actually listening for the keyboard input. So on that keyboard input, it's going to go ahead and call the shoot function on all the guns. And for this enemy ship, we don't really have that logic anywhere. And the way that I'm going to set it up here is that I'm going to add the logic directly into the gun itself, just to give the gun the capability of auto shooting. And that comes with the added bonus that if I ever wanted to, I could also add an auto shooting gun to the player ship too. Okay, so let's go here into this gun script. All right, so how's auto shooting actually going to work, right? We already have the shoot function here, and we'll call the shoot function by using timers, and every time the timer reaches the desired amount of time, we'll call the shoot function and then reset the timer. All right, so first thing, let's give our gun the ability to tell it to auto shoot. So we'll just create this Boolean flag auto shoot, set it equal to false so that our ship doesn't, or so that all of our guns don't actually auto shoot by default. Okay, now some amount of time. So shoot interval in seconds. We can default that to half a second. And I'm also going to add shoot delay seconds and set that to 0. And that's basically saying I don't want to start auto shooting for X amount of time. So if I set this as something like 2, it's going to wait 2 seconds before the gun actually starts shooting. And we'll make use of that. You'll see what I'm going to be doing with that in a bit. And then we'll actually create the actual timers that are going to check for those time barrier values, those interval values. So this is just going to be the shoot timer and the delay timer. Okay, then we can go over to our update. Right, and then we can say if auto shoot, and if our delay timer is greater than or equal to our shoot delay seconds. Then we'll start shooting. Otherwise, just keep incrementing that delay timer until we get there. And this is just time delta time, right? So we'll just keep incrementing this timer. And once it reaches this amount is when we'll actually be auto shooting. And then here we'll only actually shoot. So if shoot timer is actually greater than or equal to our shoot interval, then we'll go ahead and shoot and reset the shoot timer to be 0 and until it so that it starts counting up again. Otherwise, we're not there yet, so keep incrementing by the amount of time since the last update. All right, let's go ahead and I'm gonna add one of these ships into the scene, and then we can test it out, see if everything that we just did works. All right, I'm also gonna move this, remove this sign so that this specific ship only moves from right to left, and I'll make it move also a little slower. And then I'll also take this bullet, and since it's an enemy bullet, I want that to also go a little slower than the player bullets. Player bullets are way better than enemy bullets. Okay, so let's take this enemy type 2. Let's drop him off somewhere right here. It's pretty small. Go ahead and change the sprite setting on here, 100. Let's do what we did for the player ship and set it to 40. There we go. And set that filter mode here to point so that we get that. There we go. Pixel art look. All right, let's see if it shoots. It apparently doesn't. All right, let's see what's going on here. Enemy, the gun. Where are, public, maybe? Serialize these guys. Oh, public, public, public. All right, so auto shoot, yes, and I'm just gonna leave those settings for now. Okay, so I think the bullet generated, and because the bullets collide with the enemies, the bullet actually killed him immediately as soon as the bullet spawned. So we're gonna have to say that the bullet has a specific type as well. So we'll go into the bullet prefab, and we'll change this to the bullet will now have a Boolean flag is enemy, and that's going to be false by default. And then we're going to go here for type 2, and we're going to say that yes, this is an enemy bullet. And then we're going to go to destructible, and we're going to say we can only be destroyed by non-enemy bullets, right? So if bullet is not null, if bullet dot is enemy is not true, then we're gonna kill ourselves. And then we'll also use that is enemy value to make it so that our player ship actually checks for that as well, so that our player ship is only destroyed by enemy bullets. But we'll go ahead and test this first. Play here. There it goes. There the bullets go every half a second. Seems about right. All right, I want to slow the ship down just a little bit. So let's go to ship type 2. Move speed, we'll take it down to 2. And then, oh, I also have to change this bounding box because I increased the sprite size. So let's go do that. Right. That. There. And then I'm going to go to this gun, and I'm going to say it only fires every 2 seconds. But now I'm going to play with this shoot delay, right? So let's go ahead and make a second gun. And it's going to be in the same spot. Well, first of all, these are both should have been here because of the sprite size again. Okay, so let's take this other bullet, and now we're going to give it a delay of 0.2 seconds. So now this gun will fire every 2 seconds, and this gun will fire every 2 seconds, but with a delay of 0.2 behind the first one. So it'll look like you're kind of shooting 2 bullets at a time instead of 1 every 2 seconds. Let's see if that works out there. There you go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, cool. I'll even set that delay just a little lower so they're closer together. All right, and now for the final step where we actually have our player ship get destroyed. All right, we'll have to do the same thing that we did in the destructible script, which is checking for those triggers. Let's double check and make sure our ship actually has a rigid body, because that's necessary to detect collisions. It doesn't. All right, let's go ahead and add that. All right, rigid body 2D. Same thing we did for the enemy ships. So kinematic and then continuous. And then give it that collider. Box collider 2D. Let's go ahead and shape it. All right, for the player ship, you generally want to make it pretty small. As always, we give the player the benefit of the doubt, right? So if they think they should be able to avoid bullets, they, for the most part, should be able to. So let's give a nice tight collider there so that they could kind of weave inside the sprites of the bullets a little bit and still escape unscathed. All right. So now that we have that, we can go back to our ship script and go ahead and implement that on trigger, enter 2D. The bullets are going to be triggers, and then try to get that bullets, components, bullets. If bullets. And in this case, we're going to be checking the opposite. If bullet is the enemy bullet, then we're going to go ahead and become destroyed. And yeah, destroy the bullet as well. All right. Test that out. See if we're getting hit. Boom, there we go. We died. Oh, I just remembered another thing I wanted to do, which is that whenever we collide with one of the enemy ships, we're also going to get destroyed. So let's make sure that that works. So in our enemy type, or either of our enemy types, we're going to have to go to these box colliders. See if we can change both at the same time. Set them both to triggers, because we're going to be checking the triggers entering our collider. And then we can go back to on trigger enter, and then we can just look for those destructibles. Any destructible we should not be able to collide with. Right, destructible. That's destructible. And then we'll do the same thing here. So if we run into any destructibles, we die. All right. Let's see if we can just fly right into one of the enemy ships. Avoid the bullets and run into one of these guys. Oh, boom, dead. Okay, ran into a null reference exception. Let's see quickly what that is. On trigger, enter 2D. That's set to an instance of an object. Oh, right, the bullet doesn't exist. It's actually destructible, right? Because that doesn't make sense. Copy and paste, copy and paste. All right, quickly run that again. Avoid this guy. And destroy. Okay, all good there. All right, that pretty much takes care of it. We're successfully, destroying our own ship. Our enemies have this new auto shooting capability where they can shoot bullets at us on different intervals and different delay patterns. And you can add as many guns to the enemy ships as you want, just like the player as well. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you learned something interesting. Give the video a like, subscribe to the channel. In the next video, we're going to be adding sort of a primitive point system, and also how we would go about beating an actual level. So we're going to do a little bit of level design, set up some enemy ships, and then set up a way for us to actually achieve what would be considered beating the level. And then we're going to advance to the next level, and that's going to have its own setup of enemy ships, stuff like that. All right, thanks again for watching. Take care, guys. Bye.